Everybody, it's Martha Creek, marthacreek.com to contact me. And I invite you to a big deep breath. And my favorite thing in the world, most of the time, exhale. A conscious exhale. Looking today at a topic, happy Father's Day, by the way. For those of you have fathered in any way, that fathered regardless of how you were fathered, that fathered in your own integrity, and that will continue to do so, that you will father those you're father of, and you'll father those that you're not father of, and that those of you that father me, I thank you. And for those of you, as Mama would say, with the good sense to father yourself and to be the father you always dreamed of, we can start today for that. So happy Father's Day. As we get into this summer, many chances for some of us to be with family in some cases, and maybe not as much as during the holiday season, but it's a time where we can get some challenges around what it's like to be with family, or to go back into a family system, or to the family emotional unit where most of our patterning took root or our traumas were created. So Ram Dass used to say and wrote in his writings and often spoke, when you think you're getting some enlightenment, if you ever start to think you're enlightened, go spend a weekend with your family. And that'll be an indicator of how much enlightenment you have. And I say, Martha Creek says, oh, you don't have to spend a weekend with them, just think about them. And then if that doesn't torture you, then you can call them. And then for those of us that are courageous enough or daring enough, some of us still go back into the family to spend time with them. So I will be, for sure, that made that commitment many years ago to do some of my deepest emotional work and spiritual work, and to grow my own emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence around working out whatever went in place in my familial unit, in my family of origin, to go back in to do that deep inner work around whatever happened there. So it may not be for you. That's absolutely up to you. I'm not promoting anything here. And I can tell you it's been of great benefit to me and maybe you. And I was called to go back to this. Then the man that published this asked me to dust this off. And I noticed with this blur, it's hard to see. So there we go. Martha's Pearls, Martha's Pearls. And this is a compilation that was put in place this past year. Several pages, 175 pages or so of various topics and newsletters and things that meant a lot to me and things I've learned a lot from. So I opened it up as I was ready to share this talk and to see what I wanted to do about this, what's important for me and what I'm going to work at during this month. And it's timely, of course, as usual. Some of you'll go, oh yeah, the lesson comes when the student's ready. And this is from chapter 15 from Martha's Pearls. You can get the book, by the way, on Amazon, or if you come to the Christmas party in December, you might get one there. And you can go ahead and buy one and then give the one you get at the Christmas party as a gift to someone. And that's how you can co-inspire with me to get these empowered teachings out to the whole of the world. The topic in chapter 15 is emotional intelligence. And I hear a lot about, and I've said many times throughout my decades of soul evolutionary self-realization work, spiritual intelligence. And then one day I realized I can't have spiritual intelligence without emotional intelligence. Now you can. I tried it. It was a lot of bypassing. So then it's like, dang, everywhere I went, there it was. The pain I was trying to avoid was waiting for me in the next situation or the next relationship or whatever it was. So there's components of emotional intelligence, and this is written about highly. You can find all about it in the YouTube or in Google to look it up. But as defined by Daniel Goleman, who wrote the book Emotional Intelligence, as self-awareness. Self-awareness. And then from a family systems theory, how I can be aware of myself and how I'm functioning within the emotional unit. So to be self-aware in relationship to my brother, to be self-aware in relationship to my nephew, to be self-aware in relationship to a 6-year-old, to be self-aware when I get news of a tragedy, to be self-aware when a plan didn't go as I hoped or counted on or planned for, worked for. Self-awareness. Self-regulation. So how to regulate myself in any situation, regardless of the situation. So regardless of what they say, regardless of what they do, regardless of what they didn't do, regardless of their tone, regardless of how far their eyes are rolling around in their head, regardless of how critical they are for me, in me, and if you believe unity teachings, then in you, that we have the innate inherent power to regulate ourselves, to come to center, whatever you want to call it. And how important that is to do that first, before I say anything, before I fire off an email or a text. It's described and defined as our motivations. What are our motivations? I remember a friend years ago, first time I ever heard it, another defining moment for me. When I was talking about something I might do or wanting to do, he said, "What's your motivation? What's motivating you about this?" And it stopped me dead in my tracks. Like, great question. What are my motivations? What am I seeking? What is my doing about? And what is my being about? And then the other element of this is empathy, capacity for empathy. So we're strong in some of these areas. We're weaker in other areas. It comes and goes. We're on a full spectrum of humanness. And the great news of it is I have the power to improve any of them. And the great news of the day is you have the power to improve in any of these areas also. Now, with improvement possible, how to go in that direction. So here are some encouragements, some guidelines, some road signs as you, if you choose to proceed in this direction, what is it? And one of them is to stay curious. To stay curious. I wonder what that could have been about. I wonder what her attitude could have been about that was out of characteristic for him. I wonder what could be happening in his life I don't know about. I wonder how this is going to turn out. I wonder what Martha's Pearls is really about, when it wasn't about being an author or anything like that for me. It was about getting empowered teachings out into the world. So then I wonder, how far out in the world will it go? What life will Martha's Pearls have? So curiosity. Another sign is great leadership. So that means sometimes maybe for me that I've got to have the brakes on. I've got to slow it down. I've got to take less risk. I've got to be willing for people to be afraid, to be stuck, to be in analysis paralysis, and to know that that's a part of the journey. I've also to know that sometimes we got to put the gas pedal down, that we can't be riding the brakes all the time, or I won't get anywhere. We won't ever make any progress or really evolve in that way if I've got my foot pressed down on the brakes. And in my family, I get to pick on my brother. Happy brother's Father's Day to my brother too. And we tease, he and his son, my nephew, tease that when he's ready to make a decision, that we look at each other and go, well, it'll be about 7 years. So if he says he's going to get a new truck, for example, we know it'll probably be about 7 years before he actually gets one. So he's got a brake system on. It works for him. It doesn't work for us. We're like, if you're going to get one, let's get one. Let's go. Let's research. Let's pull some data. Let's look at the costs. It's not for him. He's at a different pace. A sign of spiritual intelligence and emotional intelligence is you're aware of your strengths. You're aware of your gifts, your God-given gifts. God-given gifts, and aware of them, and I'll say, and using them. That's probably more of an integrity topic, but to know them, to know that I have gifts, that I have gifts bestowed on me, and that you don't have Martha Creek's gifts. I also don't have your gifts. And I can be mad as a wet hen about not getting your gifts, disappointed, frustrated, irritated, but I can't be emotionally intelligent and be pining away for gifts that I don't have. But using the gifts I have and then cultivating the gifts that I have, improving the gifts that I have. And then to also know our weaknesses. And most of us are not fond of that word. We're scared of being seen as weak, many, including me. I don't like being seen as weak and whiny and needy and all that. And I need to know where my weaknesses are, which includes the fear of being seen as that, because it will affect me and my decisions and my choices. My discernment will be impacted by that. Emotionally and spiritually mature people can pay attention. Some of you that may have been half listening may have turned to say, what'd she say? To pay attention. We know how to pay attention. And I'd say, we know. And there's some sense to know that we've got to know to pay attention to our inner world and how we're being guided from the inner world and not excessively and overly influenced by the outer world. When we're upset, these are still more attributes of emotional and intelligence and what I believe is spiritual intelligence. When I'm upset, I look at it. When I'm upset, I know what caused it. And I can look at what caused it. I can also allow the feelings of the upset and also to give space to them so that they pass. So I'm less likely now to depress, disown, deny, suppress these feelings, these upsets. No more stuffing them away, giving them space. A sign of an emotionally intelligent, spiritually intelligent person is we can get along with most people. Now, we don't have to move in with them, don't have to love them, don't have to marry them. But we've done enough work and have enough solid ground of spiritual practice to know that we can get along with most people. And one of my friends says it like this, girl, I can do anything for 24 hours. So maybe you can. We also care, spiritually, emotionally mature people care about our being a moral person, making decisions based on our own integrity of being a moral person in moral behaviors, moral action. We also take time to slow down and actually help other people. And in my preparation for one of these commencement addresses I got to do this month, the quote that I pulled said, if you ever start to think you're too important to help people, you're not that important. We're never too important to stop and to help somebody. I'm not. After we fall, emotionally intelligent, spiritually intelligent people get back up. We have a developed resilience, a developed grit, a tenacity that's uncommon, an uncommon motivation to get back up. We hurt, we cry, we regret, we sob, we learn, and we get back up. We also have some sense about people's inner world, that we can be informed by people's expressions, not just what they're saying, but what their face is saying, what their tone is saying, what their eyes are saying, regardless of what the words are saying. So it's a capacity to listen, to hear more deeply and beyond the words. We also, spiritually, emotionally mature folks, know to trust our gut, so to speak. That when we feel something in our gut, that our intuitions about that are guiding us. We wouldn't disregard that. Well, not as much. I've had plenty of guidance that I disregarded because I knew too much. We're also self-motivated. That something calls us, we're pulled by vision. And sometimes in our lives, we're pushed by the pain of it. We're pushed by challenges. But more generally, we're pulled by vision. We're pulled by motivation to create a better space in the world, to leave a legacy of new possibility for being the change we want to see in the world, and to live that out, to be an embodiment of that. It also knows, the last one I made notes of here, this is right from the chapter 15 of Martha's Pearls, available on Amazon, is we have the good sense to know we have to say no sometimes. And it's very, very scary to say no, particularly to people we care about and love. And I've been able to do it some. I still have to work at this quite a bit, to know that an honest no is a yes to me. Therefore, an honest no is actually a yes to them, to our relationship. It keeps my relationships from eroding. It keeps me from growing resentments and grudges and regrets. And it's still very, very scary because I'm not as practiced at it. It took me 20 some years, I'm pretty sure, to even say the word. So my focus is, I believe, similar to many of you listening, which is to accept my own humanity. And to the degree that I can do that, then I can accept the humanity of others and the human learning processes and the full spectrum of human phenomena. And this includes all the emotions. This includes all feelings. This includes all capacities of people, large and small. So blessings to you as you grow your emotional intelligence. Blessings to you as you delight in your spiritual intelligence and that of becoming. I love you. I bless you. I'm delighted to share my journey with you and to be witnessed in any part of yours. MarthaCreek.com to contact me. Until we meet again. MarthaCreek.com if I can support you. Blessings.